to be able to meet the needs of all students, to enable students who might otherwise fall back to find a place where they can thrive. And so at this point in, again, a very long dispute, where at times I have felt like the Liberal government has tried to undermine some of those progressive voices, I really welcome the parents for taking the initiative to again refocus the conversation, and I'm very much looking forward to what they have to say. We know from the calls and from the emails that we've gotten in our office, and from meetings in our offices, from reading the Facebook posts of an extremely active Facebook group that this group comes from, that by and large parents are standing with teachers and students are standing with their teachers, and that they believe, as I do, that teachers have their students' best interests in mind and have the best interests of our public education system, which is a vital institution, in mind. So thank you again very much for coming, and I'm going to turn over the microphones to everybody who's here today. I think as you wish, you may stay seated or you may come to the podium. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. My name is Judy Keaton, and I'm a member of the steering committee for Nova Scotia Parents with Teachers. I'm a member of this group because I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother, and I have a grandson who is on an IPP and has a disability, a learning disability. It's something that he has had since birth, and through many visits at the IWK, we have now found out exactly what he needs to be able to learn and get through the education system. So this is important to me as a grandmother to be involved here and try and help indeed affect some of the change that needs to take place. So the Nova Scotia Parents for Teachers launched a Facebook group in mid-October of 2016, just after the strike vote of the Nova Scotia teachers. The goal of our group is to afford parents who support teachers' actions a safe environment to discuss the dispute, to voice their concerns and opinions, and have fruitful discussion through a respectful and meaningful debate on all issues surrounding this dispute. By the time we had the press conference on November 3rd in 2016 announcing the group, it had already grown to several hundred members. As of yesterday, our analytic report shows that after just 3 months, the membership has grown to over 19,000 known members. We are a partisan group, and we unabashedly support the NSTU and the students of this province. We were set up that way, and we will continue on that route. Today, we have parents who support our teachers and would like you to know their stories and their concerns. We were going to have the founder of Students for Teachers with us, but she sent a note this morning. She woke up sick. This has been very stressful for her, and as much as she wants to be a part of it, she could not be here with us. Some of our members on the Facebook group are teachers. It's important for everyone to understand that 75% of the teachers in this province are women. Many are mothers, they're grandmothers of children who are in our education system, and therefore they need to be part of this discussion. Some of them are men teachers, men who have dedicated their careers to helping children become all they can be. Because gender is not always included in statistics of employed public service workers, it is hard to get an actual percentage of the women working in public service. A best estimate is around 87%. Why is it important? This is important for a lot of reasons. All teachers are telling us what they need for students. They all chose this profession because they are passionate about working with children, men and women alike, who are dedicated caring professionals. But it is mothers and grandmothers more than anyone, who have always been the decision makers for their children's well-being. We trust them as homemakers, as caregivers, as businesswomen, and we must trust them along with their male counterparts when they tell us that the children of this province are being shortchanged in our schools today. All Nova Scotians know by now, after the last 3 months of debate surrounding this dispute between the NSTU and our government, that the most important thing to all Nova Scotia teachers is for more resources to be put directly into the classrooms. We recently heard the Premier say he doesn't know what is needed because it has not been clearly communicated to him. Yet most Nova Scotians are aware of the needed changes in the education system. We all understand the need to get our fiscal house in order, but trying to balance a budget within one term of any government that has been out of control for decades should not be the goal. By cutting the most crucial services that Nova Scotians rely on, like education and healthcare, or other public services that affect the very well-being of the province's population. The effects are starting to show, and they are devastating. Of those public service workers, we should all remember that there's a lot of women there. And that affects the homes of a lot of children. Women have the stress of raising the children. Women have the stress of going to work. Women have the stress of making a lot of decisions for their children. And if they're telling us they need something, then we need to listen. We want to see action by our government to fix what is broken here. In the coming weeks, we will be rolling out a social media campaign, which will include a new website. Our goal now, as a group, will be to stay engaged going forward in discussions surrounding education and to help Nova Scotians understand the importance of the changes we are asking for and that are needed. We also believe in strategic investment for the good of our province. We believe that our Premier has made some good decisions by putting investments in some targeted growth areas. But we also believe that there is a lot of work to be done to rein in needless spending, and a careful look at how funds are allocated in education would make a difference. We would ask the Minister of Education and our Premier to reassess how our school boards are using the millions of dollars meant for our classrooms. We would like our Minister of Education and our Premier to make sure that the money being allocated to the school boards actually makes it to the classroom. We have had a lot of discussions on the Facebook group. We have had a lot of people give us ideas on what they think should happen going forward. They want to know, how can we make a difference? How can we help affect the change that's needed? So we will be sending a letter to the Minister of Education and our Premier, asking them to meet with our group so we can have a respectful, productive discussion with the hope that we can help them understand the effect that decisions are having and will continue to have on teachers, on children, and on families in Nova Scotia. I would now like to hear from the other members of our group, starting with Shirley McPeters, who is a mother and has a son with a disability.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. We are here, like Trish said, in support of our teachers of Nova Scotia. I am a parent, I'm an advocate, and I work through the school system occasionally. Right now I am working because of the work to rule. I'm helping out their schools. I have a 17-year-old son, Miguel, with a rare sleep disorder, which started when he was at the age of 4 years old. By the age of 6, he started falling in all directions, which is very uncommon throughout Nova Scotia. 28 to 32 kids have this kind of condition. exact, 11 years ago today. Within a matter of 3 weeks, my son started losing his ability to grasp what he was taught. Anything he had learned up to this point had affected him, like riding a bike, things that come normal to people, swimming, his reading, his writing, people that he knew, his gross motor skills. How do you explain that? When you see, when a teacher tells you that your child's going backwards, and you see the things that your child grasps, and grasps very well up till the age of 4 years old, then all of a sudden you lose your memory. My child was always very bright up to 4. He was adding reading. And then when you lose everything, I couldn't even put on an age that he went back to. But the doctors would say he went back to a regular 1.5-year-old child at 6. So from the age of 6 to the age of 13 and a half, when he had major brain surgery to correct his seizure disorder, which was called Dosay syndrome, or myoclonic astatic, another name, body drops. Over those 8 years, I had to fight tooth and nail with the school board to get help for my son. It wasn't the teachers that gave me a hard time, it was more the school board. Because they didn't know what was going on, but yet I didn't know what was going on with my son. We had plenty of school psychologists, behavior specialists, special needs departments come in trying to figure out what was the best plan. How can we get him learning again? After a while, it was obvious all the pressure we put on him to learn was just making him upset because he couldn't do it anymore. He couldn't express his feelings. All he expressed was his anger. He would get mad. He would throw chairs. He would hit whatever was around him. Remind you, he was 6, 7 years old when this was happening. And to a person who could do things for themselves, all of a sudden not being able to do something is a major change. You probably know yourself having a parent that has dementia. People that have Alzheimer's, you're trying to explain to them why they can't do something anymore. It's very hard, and it's very hard as a parent. And at the time I was a single parent, trying to understand what happened to my child and give him the best education and the life that I could, because that's what a parent does. It was obvious he needed to be on an RGP. I didn't like that choice, but what other choices I had? He had to be able to learn at his own pace. We were pretty lucky that this school had a good sized learning center compared to most in HRM. The highest enrollment of special needs kids with all different types of disabilities. Most schools in HRM don't even have a learning center. Or they do, they have 1 or 2 kids in there. My son's school at the time, I believe there was 195 students, a good 13% with special needs. With this said, they still had a long road ahead, since they didn't have enough EPAs to accommodate them. There is only so many allotted EPAs per school, no matter what the school's needs are. This is very difficult on the teachers and the students when they have to teach your child how to do something, but they have no direction. because the teacher has to take the time to put a plan together for them. The resource teacher has to put a plan together for them. They have to work together. But mind you, they have 25 to 30 other kids in the classroom. Yes, I know a lot of schools are, elementary schools were capped past couple of years, but we're going back 10 years. This needs to be as per two students' needs. How else do you expect them to do the things they can't do on their own? Each student should be assigned a regular EPA with a knowledgeable backup EPA, making sure that they follow the plan. An IPP is not a solution, it is an outcome. There needs to be one-on-one support from an appropriate subject teacher, i.e. a speech pathologist. Speech pathology reading. Like I said, I could go on and on about what's needed in the classroom. There's never seems to be enough. There never is enough time to explain what somebody needs. All the different types of kids that have disabilities. If you have autism, there's so many different types, it's very hard to put a handle on it. I have a quote here that from Karen Casey when she became minister in October 2013 that I've been thinking about for a very long time, and I sent her emails about this. This is from her, what her plan was when she first became minister. One of the first things I want to do is ensure that our students who have special needs and challenges in learning have the support they need in the classroom. I've seen that eroded over the past 4 years, and that is very frustrating for the students, parents, teachers. That is going to be my focus, getting a good handle on what the needs are. I haven't seen too much myself, too many changes in the classroom. She's been a minister for a little over 4 years. It's been over 19 years that every year the amount of kids growing with a disability is getting worse and worse, but we're not doing anything in our system. All we're doing is cutting programs. We're cutting there's no after school programs. We don't have summer camps for kids. We don't have special school set up. We don't want our kids to be segregated. We want them to be included. There's so many things that need to be in the classroom. It would be so nice if the learning centers could be set up with big common areas, stimulating tools, special seating, things that would help the kids get through their day and help them to keep calm, but it would also help the teachers. I would like to thank you for coming today and listening to my story, and I'm going to pass you on to Cindy Jennings.
You've already met me. My name is Trish Keeping. I'm not Cindy Jennings. However, Cindy Jennings was not allowed to be here. Cindy is the mother of 2 teenage boys, David and RJ, and they have disabilities. Cindy is also an EPA. And when she asked her principal for the time to come here and speak, she was granted permission to join us. And when the principal tried to get permission from the school board refused it. And they said, you cannot go because it will put us in a bad light. So I'm going to read you what Cindy sent to me. My name is Cindy Jennings. I am the mother of 2 teenage boys, David age 13, and RJ 17. As toddlers and preschoolers, both of my boys suffered with severely delayed speech and language development. Even though both boys received intense speech therapy services, they entered public school at age 5 with a very limited vocabulary, which put them in a severe disadvantage to their peers. Both boys reached language development milestones much later than the average expected age, and they had a very difficult time learning to read and spell. In 2010, when my son RJ was in grade 4, he was becoming increasingly frustrated with school as the year progressed. He began to really dislike going to school and would often beg to stay home. I asked the school if he could be assessed by a school psychologist, but I was informed that the wait time was 18 to 24 months. RJ was not a behavioral problem, and he tried hard to please his teachers, but I knew he was suffering in silence at school, and I had to help him. I paid $2,000 for a private psychological educational assessment. He was diagnosed with severe language-based learning disabilities. He was working at least 3 grade levels behind in all subjects. I was devastated for him, but I also felt that at least now we had a diagnosis, supports could be put in place to unlock his academic potential. I was wrong. He was placed on adaptions and received the same amount of school-based resource center support that he was getting before the diagnosis. He spent his days in the classroom, unsupported, and left to fend for himself because the school simply didn't have the staff or resources to offer any more help. He was so frustrated and so far behind his peers by the end of grade 6 that I made the decision to pull him from public school and place him in a special education private school, Ridgeway Academy. That same year, 2012, my son David was in grade 3 and was starting to show signs that he was also struggling academically. I took him for a private psych ed, and he was also diagnosed with learning disabilities. I made the decision to send David to Ridgeway too, because I already knew public school could not provide the supports he needed. Ridgeway offered much smaller class sizes and an intense reading program. My boys did very well with the spell and read, jump math programs that Ridgeway used. After only 6 months, their literacy skills had increased drastically. Their self-confidence soared. It was wonderful to watch them both thrive and succeed academically for the first time ever. Unfortunately, after 2 years at Ridgeway, our family had 2 events that set us back financially, and I didn't know how I was going to afford to keep my boys there. I asked the government to help me with the $2,400 deposit that I needed to secure my boys' placement at Ridgeway for the start of 2014 school year, but they denied any financial assistance beyond the tuition support program, beyond which the tuition support program provides. Sadly, against my better judgment, I had no choice but to place my boys back in public school. JR was in grade 9. Although he made great progress in the special ed private school, he was still years behind his peers. He was a very frustrated boy that was unable to keep up in a class of 32 students, and he started to exhibit behavioral problems, so that teachers would ask him to leave class. He decided that he would rather get in trouble than have to sit in class and feel like the dumb kid. He met very few of the expected grade level outcomes that year, but due to a no-fail policy, he graduated onto high school. That was where things quickly went from bad to worse. He was placed in math and English classes with over 40 students and had no one-on-one, much needed in class support. After a couple of weeks, he realized that he could not keep up. By the end of the semester, he also found out that the rules changed in high school. The system no longer pushed you through. For the first time ever, he saw failure on a public school report card. It seems that grade 10 is the year the system is willing to weed out the kids like him, rather than offer schools the tools that are necessary to support struggling learners. My sweet, quiet little boy. I apologize, but I'm a person who has a human condition, and having a grandson who has a disability this hits home. For anybody who thinks that we can live with the system that we have now, they need to understand what families in these positions go through.
My sweet, quiet little boy that suffered in silence for years as he fell through the cracks has grown into an extremely frustrated teenager that has come to resent school. I am exhausted from having to advocate almost daily for him in a system that continues to fail to address his needs and provide him with necessary supports. I often wonder how different things may have been for RJ if he was provided with one-on-one support in elementary. I wonder how different things might have been for him if there were hard caps in junior high and high school classes. I wonder if he would be experiencing academic success today if only our schools had been able to offer him the necessary tools and supports that learning disabled students need. I also wonder if he may have been given those supports if only he had behaved poorly at school when he was younger. Would he have had less struggles if he was held back a year in early elementary and had extra time to master the skills he wasn't able to grasp the first time? It is now uncertain if he will ever one day walk across the stage and receive a high school diploma. I am just about out of ideas and strategies to help him become a high school graduate. Sadly, it may be too late for my son RJ, but I still have another learning disabled son who struggles to keep up every day, and I am calling on government to once and for all admit that education in Nova Scotia is in a state of crisis and make a commitment to invest in our schools. Our teachers need more support staff in their classrooms. Teachers need hard caps and quicker access to specialists that can help struggling students. Kids like mine need more resource center support than what is currently offered. Our government needs to pay attention to learning disabled students. Sadly, I have learned that my family story is not unique. There are too many children in this province that are not receiving a fair and adequate education, and it may be too late for RJ, but it isn't too late for David and thousands of other students just like him. My name is Stacey Rutterham, and I'm a member of the Nova Scotia Parents for Teachers group. I'm the mom of two wonderful girls, Ellen and Georgia, in grades 2 and 4. Without listing all of the classroom conditions and other concerns already on the table, I wish to express my deep concerns about the refusal of government to deal with these issues and in fact to ignore the results of the education review prepared by the current Minister of Education in 2015. That is why I am a parent who supports the teachers of Nova Scotia. But I have also been more concerned by the behavior of government and its treatment of the teachers over these last months. In leadership, I expect fair, honest, and responsible behavior. And what I've witnessed has been anything but. In fact, it's been akin to schoolyard bullying, literally. We try to teach our kids to be kind, truthful, choose their words. We teach them problem-solving skills. We help them learn the ability to analyze and develop their own thought processes. The teachers they have are leaders who work every day to teach them the values of hard work, compassion, and respect for others. And they are our partners in raising our children. These are the people that government deems fit and prepared to teach and inspire our children every day. Yet lately the government in this province would have us distrust teachers, have implied they are dishonorable, greedy, selfish. Many of these people they speak of are our family members, our friends, and our neighbors. It has been tactic after tactic over these last many weeks to portray our teachers in the worst possible way. And I'm not sure how the other members of government, who are also citizens and parents in this province, find this demoralizing and demeaning behavior toward one of our most important professions acceptable. Shame. I have always been of the opinion that when one side attacks the other with low blows and cheap shots, that means they really have no leg to stand on. It signifies their position is weak. If it weren't for these assaults, these assaults would not be necessary. There are also regulations in this province that prohibit employers from mistreating their employees. Mental and verbal cruelties, character assassination, and defamation are all forms of mistreatment. This is not acceptable. It is not an acceptable way to negotiate or even defend a position. And of all things, I do not want my children seeing their teachers being treated this way. Even in their young years, they are very, very aware. And I would like to state emphatically while I'm here that my children are not suffering and are not hurting because of work to rule, nor have they ever been unsafe, because their teachers care about them and they are professionals. But I also wish to make certain that they do not go forward seeing their teachers being treated unfairly because they chose to fight for our kids and their futures. What kind of message does this treatment of teachers or anyone else send to our children? Is this how we want society to behave going forward? And what does this say to the kids that we know, that we've just heard about, who need more support? Work to rule is supposed to be inconvenient. That's a fact. And the fact that individuals are upset by elements of work to rule is unfortunate, but to be expected. And it should not be confused with unfair or cruel. The teachers have chosen to continue teaching rather than walking a picket line so that our children may continue learning and not miss out on their schooling. Threatening lawsuits and student walkouts do nothing but diminish the importance of what these choices really mean now and going forward. I cannot imagine working for an employer who publicly attacks my character and integrity and then expects me to turn around and volunteer my time with the same families that he's trying to turn against me. So as a parent, I demand this petulant and intolerable abuse of teachers stop now. As far as funding our education programs, education is one of the most cherished privileges around the world and is a human right. And this province right now has an opportunity to listen to the teachers who are the frontline workers and start making moves toward creating the best possible outcome for children now and for the long term. When we have money to spend on new highway interchanges or to give to corporations and wealthy business people, we need to assess where our priorities are. And I don't believe, as a citizen of this province, that there is no money. When it is available for the Premier and his interests, when his constituency is one of the most expensive schools ever built in this province, along with 4 other schools, new schools, or 3 other new schools, and liberal ridings. When other liberal ridings are announcing projects pretty much every week, as a member of the public, I will state very openly that I do not trust that this government is negotiating fairly, that they are representing their capabilities honestly, and I do not trust that the improvements necessary in schools will ever occur unless they are actually hard written in the teachers' contracts. This government is not bargaining in good faith. Teachers commit to lifelong learning themselves, even after investing deeply into an education that surpasses many other career requirements. They are consistently learning new technologies, new information, and new techniques, and they are also expected to handle elements in the classroom that would logically require a separate degree or specialized certifications. And this government does not believe that they deserve a fair wage package. This government would have us believe that we cannot give our kids, even at the very least, more teaching time, for example, unless the teachers forgo a cost of living salary adjustment. I am not fooled. I believe that our government is trying to break the teachers' union. It is reprehensible to treat these dedicated and essential professionals in the manner this government has chosen. What long-term damage have they done? Parents and students cannot allow this insidious and dishonest behavior to create a permanent environment of animosity and mistrust directed toward our teachers. They deserve better than that. It is not acceptable within our education system, just as bullying has a zero-tolerance policy within our schools. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Tina Roberts-Jeffers. I am the mother of 3 small children who I often refer to as my bright lights. The eldest of whom is in grade primary, and last fall, I stood before you to express my support for teachers. Today I stand before you again with the same resolve. The last several months have been contentious and filled with challenges for everyone. My support for teachers continues on 2 different levels, one very personal and the other systemic. On the personal level, I continue to witness and appreciate the work of educators at my child's school. They are dedicated, hardworking, and professional. I won't pretend as if all school communities are the same. I can only speak from my personal experience And though I don't have as many opportunities to interact with the staff under work to rural guidelines, I still support them. A couple of weeks ago, shortly after picking my daughter up from school, she spontaneously announced, "I love Madame. She's a really great teacher." She said this with the greatest certainty and the biggest of smiles. In that moment, I recognized that although she hadn't had a winter concert, or a first field trip, or the annual turkey dinner, or many of the other extras teachers have so dutifully undertaken in past years, my child still loves school, still recognized the great value in her teacher's work. While I continued to adjust to no PTA or SAC meetings in deviation from what I had come to expect from the school staff, she was still fine. Work to Rural had its inconveniences, but more than anything, it has highlighted to me the extent to which we need to pay close attention to what we expect of teachers inside and outside of the classroom. My second level of support for teachers is one grounded in their labor rights. There was a time when collective bargaining rights weren't enshrined in law, when pay wasn't necessarily based on training or experience, but relationships, status, gender, race. We are not completely beyond that time, since there is much room for greater teacher diversity and advancement among Aboriginal, Black, and immigrant teachers. But still, in 2017, there is a legitimate expectation that the wages and terms of employment for unionized workers will be decided collectively and through bargaining in good faith. To disregard the rights of workers to bargain is to ultimately sabotage only ourselves. I also find it curious that we can, in one breath, state unequivocally our frustration at an enduring pay gap between women and men, yet in another breath, chastise teachers who are still overwhelmingly women for not performing unpaid labor for the province's children. The morality of this job action has been raised many ways in different forms, even as we suggest to children that if they work hard and get post-secondary training, a degree or 2 or 3 like most teachers, then they will be rewarded for their diligence. We are simultaneously undermining the credibility of the adults who stand before them every day. So to teachers, I say this: thank you, and please do not be discouraged. You have the support of myself and so many parents and community members.
All right, excuse me, that cold and sweet. I'll try not to repeat much of what's been said. I'm thinking instead, I have 2 young children, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're both getting a wonderful education right now, actually, with wonderful teachers and a wonderful school, public school. But I'm thinking more about my own sort of learning journey here on this process for the last couple of years. And there's two dates in particular that come to mind. One is, I'll say, I always felt that there was something wrong with the school system. I'm no expert on education by any stretch. I've read some newspaper articles here and there on the school system in Finland, and I thought to myself, why don't we do that kind of stuff that they do in Finland? Why don't we do that kind of creative and innovative things they do in Finland? And maybe we can get into that. I always thought there was something kind of broken about the system. Then about 2 years ago, my kids started school. And I went to the meetings with the teachers, whatever, and the first thing I discovered is there were these incredible teachers. And, you know, I was like, wow, these teachers are amazing. And you would have conversations with them, and they would talk to you about stuff in the Finnish school system, and not just, of course, other examples, other approaches to teaching, things they'd like to do in the classroom. So my first experience is, wow, these public teachers are fantastic. Then the second experience was just so many months ago, when the teachers voted down the second offer of the collective agreement that was put ahead. And that learning experience for me was to open up to have even further conversations with the teachers at my kids' school. And I discovered that, you know, these teachers feel they have no space to do anything in the classroom. That their life is being taken over by data input, by rules and regulations that limit what they can write on report cards, what they can and say and do not say, limiting the time they spend with my children. They don't have the teaching assistants they need. They don't have the assistants and the facilities that they want. and that many of these teachers want to do the leading things that are done in the world, and they don't want to follow the failing American standardized education system, but they want to do leading things, but they can't do them. And that was a real sort of eye-opener for me. Then the government comes along and says, don't worry, teachers. We're going to address the problems in the education system. The first thing we want to do is cut your real wages and remove your lifetime achievement award. So, I can see the rage. I can feel the frustration that teachers have. It's been a fascinating learning experience for me. And I think even today, listening to these powerful stories, sad stories that bring you to the verge of tears, is just another story in the basket of stories that we can all learn from about what's broken about the education system, why something actual needs to be done about it, and why I stand behind teachers 100%. Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank you and all the members of the Nova Scotia Parents for Teachers group, because it's been fantastic to have your support, and it's really done a lot of good for our teachers every day, especially when they're getting messages and reading your messages online. So thank you for that. While we are in a legal strike position, and while our work to rule job action has been in place, we know it's been an incredibly stressful time for teachers, administrators, and other public school members. We also know that it's been difficult for parents, guardians, families, and students. What our job action has helped demonstrate to parents, the public, and even to teachers is that there are so many things that teachers do that go above and beyond that are meaningful for our students. But there are also many tasks that teachers perform on a daily basis that are meaningless and have nothing to do with teaching. These tasks and lack of supports are the reasons many teachers leave at the end of every day feeling as though they have failed their students. During this job action, teachers have been focused on teaching. We've heard positive stories from our members about fewer discipline issues because under Work to Rule, teachers have more time to engage with their students. This enhances the learning environment. We have heard stories of students who have taken on responsibility for organizing activities and study groups, and who have generally become more independent, both in their personal lives and with their own learning. We see this as positive, as teachers constantly strive to create independent, concerned, active, confident citizens, and we hope that these things do continue. We continue to be buoyed by your support, because we know that you understand why we are taking a stand for better working conditions. Through this action, we are also shedding a light on the erosion of public education, collective bargaining, and labor rights in Nova Scotia. What this government has demonstrated through Bill 148, and in the case of teachers, the untabled Bill 75, is its disregard for working women in Nova Scotia. Our members are 75% female, and other bargaining units affected by Bill 148 have predominantly female membership as well. At the beginning of this week, we saw another group attempt to erode our collective bargaining rights. 5 university presidents have filed a lawsuit and injunction against us, calling into question whether we are in a legal strike position through our Work to Rule strike. Teachers now feel demoralized not only by government, but by the universities where most of them receive their education and continue with their lifelong learning. Our executive met yesterday and continues to meet today. And on behalf of all of them and our 9,300 members, we appreciate you helping to tell our stories through your stories. The real truth of what is happening within public education in this province.
very much. I don't know if media want to ask some questions while people are still sitting at the table, or else I believe some of the speakers are willing to meet in the lobby. I think we're getting an indication that the lobby would be good. Is that right? Okay. All right. So thank you, everyone, and please continue to follow the really great conversation about public education. Again, a crucial institution for our democracy. And thank you so much to parents for helping to elevate the conversation that's been happening recently.